The balance looked harmless when investigators reconstructed it months later. A clean number. 0% interest. 12 months of silence built into the contract like a promise. But in the world of high finance, silence is rarely a gift. It is an engineering choice. In this documentary, we go inside the behavioral engineering of modern debt. While 0% credit cards are marketed as relief or a loophole, they are actually precision-designed mechanisms for behavioral capture. We explore how financial institutions industrialize human instinct, transforming a year of patience into a lifetime of industrial profit. At 11:47 p.m., a borrower opens a credit card statement that should feel alarming, but doesn't. The balance sits there calmly. £3,000, 0% interest, 12 months remaining. The number looks frozen in time, like it cannot hurt them yet. The room is quiet, no flashing warnings, no red ink, just a promise disguised as breathing space. This is how modern debt introduces itself, not as danger, but as permission. Spend now, decide later. The statement does not threaten, it reassures. And reassurance is the most effective disguise finance has ever invented. Because nothing in that moment signals urgency. The deadline is distant. The cost is invisible. The pressure is deferred. By the time urgency becomes real, the decision will feel old, already lived with, already normalized. That is the mechanism. Debt rarely attacks. It waits. 0% credit cards are marketed as strategy, not borrowing. A clever move, a financial shortcut, a way to beat interest at its own game. Millions accept the offer believing they are stepping outside the rules. But systems built to profit do not accidentally create loopholes. Every promotion is engineered with math that survives optimism. The absence of interest is not generosity. It is bait structured as patience. The bank is not losing money during the promotional period. It is investing in behavior. During those months, something more valuable than interest is being built. Familiarity, routine, psychological tolerance for carrying a balance. By the time interest activates, the borrower is not facing a new situation. They are continuing an old one. The offer does not eliminate cost. It moves the cost into the future, where resistance is weaker and habits are already installed. During the 0% window, the balance behaves perfectly. It does not grow. It does not punish. It simply exists. And existence alone is powerful. Each month, the borrower sees the number again and again without consequence. The brain records this as safety. Purchases feel lighter. The emotional friction attached to spending fades. What once felt like debt now feels like background infrastructure. Something stable. Something manageable. Familiarity reshapes judgment quietly. Humans do not fear what repeats without harm. That is the psychological hinge the entire system rotates on. The card is not demanding repayment yet. It is teaching coexistence, and coexistence lowers urgency. Urgency is what forces action. Remove urgency, and time stretches. Stretch time long enough, and repayment stops feeling like a priority. It becomes a future version of yourself's responsibility. The system is not charging interest yet. It is charging patience. Take a simple scenario. £3,000 placed onto a 0% card for 12 months. The borrower plans to clear it. That intention is real. Month 1 arrives. The minimum payment is small, affordable. The borrower pays it and feels responsible. Month 2 arrives. The balance looks almost identical. No punishment. No growth. The card behaves like a quiet roommate. Present but not intrusive. By month 6, the balance has become furniture. It belongs to the environment. The borrower is not ignoring it. They are living with it. And living with debt is different from fighting it. Fighting requires urgency. Living requires tolerance. The structure is not encouraging default. It is encouraging comfort. Comfort extends timelines. Timelines extend profit. The card has not extracted money yet. It has extracted something more valuable. It has extracted the borrower's sense of pressure. Minimum payments are a masterpiece of behavioral design. On £3,000, the minimum might hover around £75. The borrower pays it. The system responds with silence. Silence reads as approval. No alerts, no friction, just confirmation that everything is functioning. The borrower has technically complied. Compliance feels like progress. But minimum payments are not a path out. They are a treadmill disguised as movement. Each month reinforces a rhythm. Pay a little, carry the rest. Repeat. The balance does not vanish, it stabilizes. Stability is comforting. Comfort discourages drastic action. The borrower is not trapped by force. They are held in place by normalcy. This is critical. Financial systems rarely rely on panic. Panic is unpredictable. Predictable behavior comes from routine, and routine grows strongest when it feels harmless. By the final quarter of the promotional year, the balance has aged into familiarity. The borrower no longer sees £3,000 as a problem. They see it as a condition, a fact of life. Clearing it now would require sacrifice. Sacrifice feels painful compared to the year of calm that preceded it. The mind compares present comfort to future responsibility and chooses delay. Delay does not feel reckless. It feels reasonable. There's still time. There's always still time until suddenly there isn't. The borrower does not experience a dramatic turning point. They experience gradual negotiation. Every month whispers the same message. Not urgent. Not today. The system does not rush the borrower. It allows them to talk themselves into patience. Patience is profitable when interest is waiting on the other side. When the promotional period ends, nothing explodes. There is no cinematic collapse. There is a line on a statement. The interest rate activates. 19%, 20%. The balance does not look different, but its physics have changed. The borrower did not suddenly fail. The environment changed rules mid-game. What was neutral is now expensive. And because the balance has lived untouched for 12 months, it feels permanent. Paying it off feels harder than it would have a year earlier. Not financially. Psychologically. The borrower is no longer confronting a new expense. They're confronting a long-term resident. Removing it requires eviction. Evictions demand force. The system has spent a year making force feel unnecessary. That is why the transition is effective. It is not dramatic. It is procedural. Interest arrives quietly. On £3,000 at 20%, roughly £50 appears each month before the borrower touches the principal. The statement still looks manageable. The borrower continues paying £75. Only £25 shrinks the balance. Progress slows to near stillness. This is where erosion replaces shock. Nothing about the situation feels catastrophic. That is the design. Catastrophe forces intervention. Erosion encourages endurance. Each month feels survivable. Survivable months stack into years. The borrower is not drowning. They are treading water indefinitely. And indefinite water is where profit lives. The card is no longer offering patience. It is monetizing the patience it built earlier. The promotional year was on empty. It was preparation. Most borrowers at this stage are not delinquent. They pay on time. They follow every rule. From the outside, their account looks healthy. Inside, the balance barely moves. Compliance has replaced escape as the objective. This is a critical distinction. Financial systems reward consistent behavior, not rapid exit. A borrower who pays slowly but reliably is more valuable than one who disappears quickly. The structure does not punish responsibility. It monetizes it. The borrower experiences no crisis, just duration. Duration is invisible in the moment. Only in retrospect does it reveal its cost. Years pass not through dramatic mistakes, but through acceptable monthly decisions repeated without interruption. Industry data repeatedly shows that a large percentage of promotional balances survive their interest-free window. Not because borrowers are careless, because delay feels rational when nothing is actively wrong. Humans respond to immediate pain faster than distant consequence. 0% credit removes the pain signal. Without pain, urgency fades. Without urgency, priorities shift. The balance competes with rent, food, childcare, travel. It loses quietly every month. Each loss feels justified. Life always presents a more urgent bill. The card waits its turn, and when its turn arrives, interest ensures the wait was profitable. The true cost of the card is not front-loaded. It is stretched thin across time. Interest accumulates slowly enough to avoid panic, but steadily enough to matter. Small fees appear. Refinancing offers tempt extension. Each adjustment feels minor. None feel decisive. Together, they compound into permanence. The borrower rarely feels trapped in a single moment. They feel carried by momentum. Momentum is powerful because it hides authorship. The borrower does not feel controlled. They feel busy. And busyness is the perfect camouflage for financial drift. 0% credit does not erase urgency. It postpones it until habits are cemented. By the time repayment becomes pressing, the borrower has spent a year proving they can live with the balance. Living with debt is easier than eliminating it. Elimination requires confrontation. Confrontation requires discomfort. The system delays discomfort long enough for tolerance to grow roots. Once tolerance exists, urgency must compete with comfort. Comfort usually wins. The offer is framed as a gift because gifts disarm suspicion. A tool invites analysis. A gift invites gratitude. Gratitude lowers scrutiny. The borrower feels assisted, not studied. But incentives never disappear. They relocate. When profit depends on patience, patience becomes the product being sold back to the borrower at interest. The highest return is not earned on the borrower who fails spectacularly. It is earned on the borrower who almost succeeds. The one who intended to pay early. The one who delayed just long enough. Systems rarely chase collapse. Collapse is messy. Sustainable profit comes from near success stretched across time. This is not an argument that 0% cards are evil. It is an argument that tools reflect intent. They are built to function predictably. And predictable profit requires predictable behavior. The structure does not need borrowers to break. It needs them to continue. A 0% card does not remove cost. It converts cost into duration. From money to time. From visibility to behavior. Immediate pain is replaced with prolonged exposure. Exposure is quieter, but quieter pressures often last longer. By the time interest appears, the decisive moment has passed. The swipe was not the turning point. The year of coexistence was. Habits outrank intentions. Once habit stabilizes, intention negotiates from a weaker position. Delayed pressure is more effective than force because it recruits the borrower into the process. There is no villain shouting, only time passing. And time rarely feels hostile while it is happening. Nothing about the agreement is hidden. The math is disclosed. The rates are printed. What remains invisible is behavioral drift. That is where the real transaction occurs. Not on paper. In adaptation, the most expensive part of 0% credit is not the interest that arrives at the end. It is the year that taught the borrower not to fear the balance, the silence that normalized it. Because once silence succeeds, interest does not need to shout.